Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I look like a complete filthy mess right now, and that's okay, because my review is a complete mess, because this album is kind of a complete and utter mess, but we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it together. The band is Bloc Party. This is their latest full-length album, 4. Hopefully you already got that from the title. These guys are a British rock quartet. And this LP comes after a pretty interesting musical journey for the band, which pretty much started off with the jolt of a debut album, Silent Alarm. Came out in 2005, and the reception to this LP was as eruptive as the music itself. People, for the most part, remember this album for its very tight, fast, just exciting drums, very smooth groove and bass lines, sharp, jagged guitar phrases, tracks like Helicopter, Positive Tension, Like Eating Glass. And even though people always mention those tracks all the time as some of their favorites from this LP, it usually gets neglected. It usually gets neglected that there are a lot of nicer and slower jams on this LP as well. It's not like Bloc Party was constantly you know, they had their tender moments, which in my opinion were just as good as the harder moments on the LP.
You can't have a party. It's late. You'll wake up the neighbors.
Alright, I said the band's name like a minute ago, so you're coming in late. It's the name of the band. I'm not saying we should have a block party. You're stupid. Shut up. Overall, in my opinion, this is definitely one of the most notable modern British rock records. And Silent Alarm continues to haunt Bloc Party, not because they keep trying to make the same album over again, but because they keep trying to evolve. The irony is that the band hit it big being a rock band, but yet they keep trying to experiment with not being a rock band after their debut. Over and over again, trying to incorporate the one thing rock fans hate the most: electronics. I mean, that's pretty much like kryptonite to them. I'm kidding. I'm really kidding. But with Bloc Party's next full-length LP, A Weekend in the City, they really tried to flesh their sound out with extra instrumentation, with electronics, synths, effects, and really tried to rely on their balladry a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, this is still a rock album at its core. The band's very tight rock instrumentation is still in this LP, it's just kind of melded with all these extra things. This is definitely nowhere near as energetic or as jagged as Bloc Party's debut, and intentionally so. The band really went for an overall smoother experience, and it really kind of bit them in the butt with a lot of fans. Now the band's next LP, Intimacy, is where things really shift. They're really just kind of playing alternative dance music on some moments here. There were some corny lyrics I was picking up here and there on some tracks, but I really like how the band was incorporating some electronics into their sound. There was a lot of strangeness and dissonance on these tracks. I liked that the band was being adventurous, but I know this LP was not too well received. Welcome to the world of blowing up on your debut album and then trying to challenge uninvested fans with new directions. Now this new LP comes after a hiatus that the band kind of self-imposed after the release of Intimacy. Other projects were pursued, breaks were taken, maybe some good times were had, and maybe that's the case because coming back into this record, I really kind of feel like Bloc Party hit the reset button on things. Lo and behold, the band has returned with a 100% unfettered, unadulterated rock album. But it's almost as if they've done it begrudgingly, like, hey, we're gonna make a rock album, but we're gonna do it our way. Let's do a bunch of skippy guitar edits and loops. Let's do huge, monstrous alternative rock riffs. Let's throw some banjo in there, some strings, do a handful of ballads, some dance punk drum beats, some straightforward, just regular rock beats, a few throwbacks to the 90s. So Bloc Party is definitely rocking again, just not exactly in the same way that their first LP did. And I think the final result is Bloc Party's least cohesive album yet in their entire discography. This thing is just all over the place. Not too all over the place. I just actually like to think of the music on this album as being exactly like the cover. You have a series of different colors and shapes coexisting so closely on one sort of set amount of space, but nothing intersects, nothing interacts. It's all just kind of there, running parallel to one another, which is a bit of a surprise because even during Bloc Party's worst moments, the band put together a pretty cohesive string of tracks. Here, you're really kind of getting a mixed bag, and I actually have to kind of interpret it as the band experimenting once again. I don't think Bloc Party is a dumb band, and this is definitely not their first rodeo. I think it's as obvious to them as it is to you or me that a lot of these tracks are just kind of coming out of nowhere. As usual, the band is kind of pushing themselves outside of their comfort zone, trying new things, and it ends up giving them some interesting hybrids of styles, just things that you would never expect from them based on their previous material. Okay, so the LP opens up with So He Begins to Lie, one of the tracks that to me take a more alternative rock approach with the heavy guitar riffs right from the get-go. I think it's something Foo Fighters fans will really get into, and it's a weird groove for Bloc Party. Bloc Party is no stranger to grooves, but this is definitely a different one for them. The hook is really strong on this track, the groove, the riff is well played, and I like the ending to the track, which is really what kind of won me over on this thing. It's kind of a post-rock climax finishing this thing off. Now, other tracks on here kind of take this alternative rock approach, and they can be kind of hit or miss. The track Kettling is fantastic, really the catchiest of the alt-rock bunch on this entire album. Massive riffs that I gotta say remind me of Creed a little bit to an extent. Can you take? Not gonna finish singing that, but still, in a good way. In a good way. The track Coliseum, though, oh, not liking that at all. It starts off with this faux bluesy guitar riff and like this really bad high pass filter on the lead vocals. It's just a really cheesy way to intro a track. And those riffs that just are so hard, some of the fiercest riffs that come in right after that part, I mean, it's a shame that they saved all their ferocity for that one part after this terrible intro. The last track on here, We're Not Good People, continues kind of that heavy alt-rock riffing, and it just slays. Next, I kind of want to talk about the track 3x3, which is kind of a weird thing. It's like Bloc Party taking on Muse or the Mars Volta. The lead vocals on this track totally change up and just morph into this loud, powerful, just it really sent chills down my spine hearing the vocals on this track. And I like how they can be so versatile. You get this track where they're so powerful and just soaring over the music, and then you get a track like Truth. They're kind of being sung in a whimper, which put me off at first as being kind of wimpy, but I mean, the song, the instrumentation behind the song, how it really kind of has a nice momentum behind it, a really nice strong rock momentum, but yet there is that melody and that vocal delivery that also makes it feel simultaneously like a ballad. It was just a really nice mix of that sharp Bloc Party instrumentation, but some really nice, sincere emotion too. The two tracks, Octopus and Team A, really to me are kind of like classic Bloc Party, except they do kind of have that stuttering, repeating, looping guitar chop and repeat effect going on. It works so much better on Octopus, which has one of the stronger hooks on this entire LP. Team A, I can really kind of take or leave. You've got some ballads too. The Healing and Day 4, I am kind of underwhelmed by, to be completely honest. But as far as Real Talk goes, I love the progression of that track. I'm liking the vocal melody too. There is just a nice point A, point B change on that track. You really get a sense that you're moving through a well-developed piece of music. And I guess the last track that I have to bring up is Valis, which totally stuck out to me as being maybe the poppiest song Bloc Party has ever written, but still kind of maintaining, I guess, their integrity, as you could call it. While that hook, to me, seems like maybe the most radio-friendly hook I've ever heard from Bloc Party, I don't really feel like they chipped away at their usual musical style. You know, it still feels like a Bloc Party song. Overall, I feel like the band is experimenting on this LP, and as a result, you do get some fun moments, some catchy moments, some exciting moments, but also some missteps too. Some underwhelming moments as well, despite the fact that I am saying that Bloc Party is experimenting on this LP. I couldn't help but feel like there were a few tracks where they were just kind of like, you know, sitting back on where they felt comfortable. Oh, we can push out a song like this pretty easy. This is our usual thing. Still, even a great deal of the moments like that I thought went over really, really well. It's difficult for me to pick this album apart as a whole because I don't really think it was built with a holistic intention in mind. I mean, like I said, it's kind of a mess. It's all over the place, but I did end up enjoying a majority of these songs for what they were, and what they were, to me, were good songs. So we're at the end here, really kind of feeling a decent to strong 7 on this thing. Thought it was very enjoyable. I mean, I had a very good time listening to it. It kind of wowed me at first, and then as I listened to it more, I was like, this is kind of suspect. But then as I listened to it more again, then I just kind of reached this equilibrium and was like, yeah. I don't know if that's how a lot of you felt about this thing when you gave it a listen, but that's why I'm going to ask you right now. Let me know what you thought of this LP. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And what the hell should I review next? Remember, the good comment. So if you're good, comment. The great rate. So if you're great, rate. But only the strong, subscribe. Anthony Fantano, Bloc Party.